So tell me about that. The mayor, the police commissioner, the chief of detectives all praised the old-fashioned police work that led to this arrest. What's your read on how this investigation played out?
No, and I think that's exactly it. Last time we were together, we talked about the crime scene and the collection of the evidence around the shooting, the casings and the actual rounds that had writing on them. That was a message, right? And then just across the way in the alley, there was a bottle with a partial fingerprint with DNA. All of these kinds of things come together, not to maybe identify the person if they're not in the database, which it appears that this person wasn't, but it's going to be used to put together the case so that it is a very solid case going forward. The New York City Police Department, along with the FBI and other agencies, took all of the video that they could possibly find. They enhanced that video and came up with some really good photographs of the subject when he had dropped his guard, or in this case, dropped his mask. And those photographs, it turns out, after being released, were the key to having this person brought into custody, which is, you can't go any better than see something, say something, do something. And I applaud NYPD, the partners, and that employee at the Altoona McDonald's that thought, this isn't crazy. I'm going to make a call and see what happens. And that's how these things come together. It's amazing. Yeah,
let me just ask you a little bit about that last bit that you brought up, because that's apparently the police were asked, well, what was he doing? He was just eating at McDonald's, doing something that Americans do at burger joints every single day, and an employee just kind of looks over and says, I'm going to call this in. I mean, is that just the kind of thing that you really hope for in policing?
Well, it is what you hope for. It is what you hope for in policing. And, you really hope that if somebody doesn't call it in, that somebody that's a family member or a friend, a relative of some type, identifies that person and does the right thing and calls that in. That didn't appear to have happened, but an aware citizen, which is exactly what community policing and being involved with the community and getting this information out there is all about. Now, it's important that when he was found and arrested by police, in his bag, he had a gun that appears to be a similar type of that gun. And that gun is what is referred to potentially a ghost gun. So one that was either bought online, made from a 3D printer. And it's interesting that the suspect in this case has a background in engineering. So this is something that in the follow-up searches of his house where he's living, is there a 3D printer? Is that how he made parts of this gun? When they found the bag in Central Park, that's going to have clothing that he potentially wore that's going to have DNA on it. And in the bag that he was arrested with, we're hearing that mask was in that bag. That definitely is going to have DNA from his breathing into it, which will tie back to the crime scene potentially. All of these little things put together really make the case in court very important. One of the most important things I think we're seeing now is, and we'll find out more as your reporters talked about, the writing, or what's being called the manifesto. What is his online presence? Is this person angry at that particular CEO and killed this person because of a personal family grudge, something that happened there? Or is this a larger, that this person is actually a domestic violent extremist that is anti-capitalist, more of an anarchist type of a mindset, which moves it into another venue, and I would love to talk more about that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're getting a little bit of information on exactly that aspect or that angle to this, because we did hear from officials. They said there was no specific threat to anyone else other than the CEO, but that there was ill will to corporate America expressed. So, and this document, does it surprise you that this document would have been, police say, on his person? Wouldn't you kind of get rid of that, or what do you think?
Well, you would get rid of that if you were trying to do one individual act of killing the CEO and then not being discovered. Unfortunately, or fortunately, in many cases, people who do these things for a greater domestic violent extremist, they may figure they're going to get caught, but they want to have a message, something that resonates beyond them. And as you reported last time we talked, the internet is awash with people that are in support of this shooting, which is unbelievable but believable at the same time. So there is an underlying of this potential for violence out there. And this person, as may have been reported or may have been in the writings, is that that protest, when it fails, the only natural step is violence, right? There's something to those lines. And you know, in the United States, domestic violent extremism or domestic terrorism, as it's defined, is an act of violence to intimidate or coerce a civilian population or to influence the policy of a government. And if it's found that this person was doing this for that greater cause, there is potential for federal charges. But interestingly enough, the definition of domestic terrorism in the United States does not have a penalty attached to it. So you can meet all of the elements of that definition and never be charged with a domestic terrorism act. You'll be charged with firearms violations, the homicide. So it may well be that the best charge they have is that New York City murder, because there is no teeth to the definition of domestic terrorism if that is what it turns out it is. And that is something that should change down the road. But
just very quickly, Tom, we're out of time, but I want to just understand that. So the suspect has been arrested on these weapons charges. New York City police are traveling to Pennsylvania where they will interview him. And then at some point, in your estimation, this individual would likely face homicide charges.
Yeah, so the Altoona police did a phenomenal job of responding quickly, taking that call seriously, and apprehending that person. And in finding some of the evidence on his person, they found a weapon which he illegally had in his possession. So they arrested him on that arrestable charge to hold him while that investigation continues to grind and continues to build the evidence to bring it forward for the actual murder in New York City. And that will be the New York City district attorney who will bring those charges. It will be looked at for potential federal charges if that comes into play. But the New York City charges are the ones that they're working directly right now.
Tom, again, thank you. That is former FBI Special Agent Tom O'Connor.